Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order our public hearing for the Code of Conduct and special meeting for the Board of Education, September 3rd at 6:05 p.m. I'd like to ask Dan Joe Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert, please lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome back, everybody, and it does seem a little different, and that's why I'm using my gym voice now to make sure everybody can hear me, and I'm sure you can. And thank you for coming out. Mr. Gratiola in the back there, thank you very much for being our first guest back here, community member. This evening, the Code of Conduct public hearing should take place, which it will now, and I'm going to turn it over now to our superintendent, Ms. Ruiz, who will explain.
Microphone, but good evening, everyone. Tonight, as required by law, we will hold a public hearing to answer any questions about any of the changes in the Code of Conduct that have been proposed. This is something that's pro forma, but required by New York State law when any changes in the Code of Conduct are recommended. The changes that we are going to talk about tonight are just related to our reentry plan and our COVID situation. So given that we will have students on remote instruction, one of the changes addresses the fact that the student dress code would be required for whether or not students are coming physically into school or whether they're in a remote learning environment. So the change reads, teachers and all of the district personnel should exemplify and reinforce acceptable student dress, help students develop an understanding of appropriate appearance while at school or in a remote learning environment. So that was minor change just to accommodate our new learning environment. The second change comes on the prohibited, and that was in the student dress code section 5300.25 student dress code. And then the other change comes in 5300.30, and that is prohibited student conduct. And again, it is designed to address behavior while students are physically in our school or when they are engaged in remote instruction. So the board recognizes the need to make expectations for student conduct specific and clear while on school property, in a remote learning environment, or engaged in school functions. So the change there is in a remote learning environment, and we would expect students to behave and follow all the rules that are included within the Code of Conduct, whether they are physically in the building or whether they are on a remote, in a remote classroom. And so the last thing just to point out is not really a change in the Code of Conduct, but it does, it still addresses, 5300.30, engage in conduct in a remote learning environment that interferes with or can reasonably be expected to substantially disrupt the educational process during a virtual class session. And this includes, but not limited to, using language or gestures that are profane, lewd, vulgar, abusive, or prejudicial while participating in the virtual class session. The display of imagery that is profane, lewd, vulgar, abusive, or prejudicial while participating in the virtual class session. Engaging in any willful act which disrupts the normal operation of the virtual class session. Lateness for missing or leaving the virtual class session without prior permission, as these are required sessions and attendance is taken. Indecent exposure, that is exposure of sight of private parts of the body in a lewd or indecent manner while displaying oneself on a webcam while participating in a virtual class session. And the last one, engaging in any prohibited conduct as listed in sections 8 or 8 while participating in a virtual class session. The use of masks was something else that came up during our discussions, and that really is covered under the general behavior policies that are included in the code of conduct. So it talks about any conduct that is disruptive or any conduct that endangers the safety, morals, physical or mental health or welfare of others. And again, those are a little bit more general, and the requirement of mask is a state law all over the state right now, and especially on school property. And so that is covered in a more general sense. So children, of course, will be required to wear a mask, and any refusal to wear a mask will be addressed as a violation of the code of conduct. Of course, we're not talking about when students may forget to put their mask on. At the beginning, we know we're going to have to remind our students to keep their masks on, put them on until it becomes a habit. But this would be a willful disobeying willfully the mask. And those are the changes that are being proposed in the code of conduct. Support any questions.
So at the end of the hearing today, at the end of our meeting, this policy will be approved. And if there's any questions by any of our community members at this time. And Mr. Hilgers, you're monitoring from at home, anything?
We have nothing right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, so then we'll move on to agenda item number 3, recommendations of superintendent of schools.
So tonight, really the purpose for this brief special meeting was to make some last minute appointments, personnel appointments that we need to put in place before the beginning of school. So tonight I'm recommending that the board accept the following resignations. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of movement all across Long Island in personnel. Ciara Nicusi, substitute teacher 8, effective September 3rd, 2020. Karen Puri, per diem substitute teacher, effective August 11th, 2020. Jessica Rouse, per diem substitute teacher, effective July 22nd, 2020. Stephanie Hector, permanent substitute teacher, effective September 15th, 2020. Russell Cohen, leave replacement special education teacher, effective August 25th, 2020. Kathleen Gabrielle, part-time monitor, effective September 2nd, 2020. And Kristen Scalisi, short-term substitute music teacher, effective August 26th, 2020. Also recommending that the board approve the request of Anne-Marie Shakur for a leave of absence for medical reasons from her school psychologist position, effective September 14th, 2020, through January 27th, 2021. Recommending further that the board approve the appointment of Danielle Lundgren to this position of leave replacement school psychologist, effective September 2nd, 2020 through January 27th, 2021, at the doctorate step 1 annual salary set forth in the Property Teachers Association contract. Also recommending that the board approve the appointment of Stephen Scaldone to the position of leave replacement special education teacher, effective September 2nd through January 27th, 2021. Also recommending the board approve the appointment of Anna Kerner to the position of leave replacement elementary teacher, effective September 2nd, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Recommending the board approve the appointment of Margaret Orguera to the position of short-term substitute elementary teacher, effective September 2nd, 2020 through November 20th, 2020. Also recommending that the board approve the appointment of Melissa Watson to the position of part-time monitor, effective upon civil service approval. Recommending that the board approve the appointment of Ciara Nicusi to the position of teacher aide, effective September 4th, 2020. Recommending that the board approve the appointment of Lisa Lamontanaro to the position of part-time monitor, effective upon civil service approval. And recommending that the board approve the following temporary assignments at the salary approved by East Rockland Board of Education on the non-contractual salary schedule, and that is Justin Shaw, substitute teacher 8, Cindy Dower, substitute teacher, Elizabeth David, substitute monitor and substitute aide, Christina Caruso, substitute monitor, Michael Watson, substitute cleaner, and Stephen M. Bennett, substitute.
Are there any questions for the members of the board? I just have one comment to make. Is that when I was reading through everything, it amazes me how moving through with all the preparations for COVID, that the central administration and the building administrators are able to actually do all these hirings, rehirings, to keep us up and ready to open at an opening time. I was speaking to another board president at the local school over here, and they're so far behind because they're just working on the COVID, everything they need to do. So it's a real showing that the district kept moving forward in a proactive way as we first left school in June and throughout the summer to get to the position where we're able to open our buildings up and have all this additional staff and the staff that has left us fulfilling and ready for our children. So I want to thank Superintendent Luis on that and also our administrators in the central office. Thank you so much for what you do.
What you're saying, Mr. Goldis, I heard on the news last night, I think it's Patterson, New Jersey, is delaying the start of school because they had so many teachers resign at the last minute, and they can't fill those positions. So it's happening a lot, that people are changing their mind, who are taking jobs and then getting full-time jobs because it's like a domino effect with so many people, I guess, leaving the field due to the situation.
Yeah, it really makes me proud, that he's rocking above all else, which is moving right forward. So thank you again. Since there's no questions by the board, may I have a motion to approve agenda item number 3, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and numbers 1 through 6. Who so moved that?
So,
Mario, so moved. Second?
second.
Gilgis, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstained? So moved. At this time, have we gotten any questions coming in on the code of conduct? Mr. Gilgis? Okay. So at this time, I'd like to make a recommendation. Are there any questions by the board? Any on that? Pretty much covered that. I think all of those additions were well thought out by our policy committee. I want to thank them for working hard on that. As we know, as things move on, we learned from the first part back in March through June of things we need to look for virtually, and now we've added to the code, and I think the teachers feel a lot stronger in the classroom, being able to manage both students in the classroom and at home at the same time by these code of conduct changes that we made. So I want to thank everybody for their hard work on that. I have a motion to approve the code of conduct.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. McNally, second by Ms. O'Hagan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? So moved. Policy matters, Ms. O'Hagan?
Actually, conduct now, update based on the
Thank you. Board member comments? Who'd like to start, Matt? Ms. McNally?
I just want to thank everyone that had anything to do with the school's reopening. We took a tour of all the buildings today, and Jim, your staff, you and everyone, just what a great job. Buildings look great. Like Mr. Wolf said, there are other districts that are way behind. So I just want to wish all of the families of East Rockaway good luck. Stay safe, and we'll get through this together.
Thank you. Now,
I would like to second that. Excellent job, guys. The schools look great. Couldn't ask for a better job. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Shall I go? So I actually third what Pete and Joe both said. I am so impressed with the output of what you and everyone else has been able to put together in such a tough time. I'm going to leave you with another quote, as that tends to be what I do. A successful man is one who can lay a firm foundation with the bricks others have thrown at him. That's by someone who's unknown. I'm not sure who gave that quote, but I think it makes a lot of sense based on this COVID situation and how it was thrown at us, or basically the whole world. And in this district, we rose to the occasion and we were able to go above and beyond and really pull things together as a team. And I'm extremely proud of everyone from Ms. Louise all the way down. So
outstanding work.
I will my fellow board members. It's truly impressive what our district has accomplished there for starting school next week. Thank you to the central administrative staff and Mr. Bailey and Mr. Real team. Your creative thinking and planning is beyond evident, allowing for a nurturing and welcoming environment for our kids. I wish everyone the best of luck as we begin this new school.
And I just want to use the word inclusive. Mr. Daly, we went around to the buildings, and you and Mrs. Frio, being inclusive of all the staff, all the teachers, all the suggestions that were given to you, and you can see it because as the buildings change and the classrooms change by age, the partitions change, the offices, their partitions change, and I can't imagine all the tugging that was done on both of you to get this going and to finalize it. And then it hit me when we went down to the small gym and I saw all of the desks still there, and again, being inclusive, saying, well, the teachers still want to consider moving this one here, using this one there. Meanwhile, we open up, in 4 days, and to have that kind of patience for both of you in dealing with not only the physical plant, but also all of the other obstacles that come your way in opening the school year, it's just inclusive. So thank you for being so inclusive to our community and really caring about all the things that go into opening. Thank you. Well, thank you.
I don't have a superintendent's report, but I'm going to say one thing. Yesterday, we had our opening day for our teachers. Today, we had our second professional development day. Tomorrow will be the third. So Mrs. Heck worked very hard to plan for that. So our teachers are getting a lot of professional development. But the theme for this year, I think, in the reopening that I quoted in my speech, and kind of quote, was that none of us is as smart as all of us, and none of us are as strong as all of us. And you're right, we couldn't do this without the help of our building administrators, our teachers, over 100 people that work on our committees, our custodial workers who continue to work overtime, many, many hours in the heat, moving all of this furniture. It's just exhausting, and I really feel incredibly fortunate to work with such an incredible group of people, and I'm so proud of the work that is done. We will be ready on Tuesday.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to make it is now 6:20, it's like 3 to me, 6:23 to make it. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn a special meeting and reconvene into an executive session to discuss a personnel issue. May I have a motion? So moved by Mr. McNally, second. Second. Hilgis, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Thank you all.